Wall Street Journal alluded to. You know what you could have done to alleviate this? Since you want to take the Trump administration to court and say that he had no business federalizing the National Guard, you could have called the National Guard. You could have made sure that law enforcement throughout the city of Los Angeles had a very strong, vibrant, conspicuous.
Stephen A. Smith just went scorched earth on California, putting Governor Gavin Newsom in the hot seat. Known for fiery takes on sports, today he turned that intensity on politics, blasting Newsom's hair gel, hypocrisy, and fading political swagger. What sparked this verbal assault? It's not politics, it's pure entertainment with a Stephen A. twist, guaranteed to keep you on the edge.
The possibility of him calling in, meaning Trump calling in the National Guards and the Marines. You could have done that, but you didn't. And because you didn't, you gave him the opening to do it. Because it makes you look like you're weak on crime, you're weak on lawlessness, you're weak on borders. All the things that got him elected, you're playing.
Hit subscribe, it really helps. It all began with the signature fire only Stephen A. Smith can deliver. But today, he wasn't taking on NBA refs or Kyrie Irving. His flamethrower was aimed straight at California's slick-haired governor, Gavin Newsom. And if the state was already metaphorically burning, Stephen A. just poured rocket fuel on the flames.
Personal belief is that the political career of Gavin Newsom is in peril, if not flat out over. His presidential aspirations have been eviscerated. There is no way he overcomes this. No way. And in regards to Karen Bass, to say nothing, you can come and speak out, but that video will live in infamy. You had
So why did Governor Newsom end up in Stephen A.'s verbal cage match? Usually reserved for LeBron drama, simple, he dared to call California the land of freedom and opportunity. Even as residents are fleeing like it's the Titanic and he's the iceberg.
To the hands of Donald Trump. Because I got news for you. On this particular issue, as it involves migrants, immigrants, those who are undocumented, dare we say illegal, in the United States of America, he's winning on this issue. There's a reason he won the popular vote. There's a reason he won the Electoral College vote. There's a reason he won every swing state. There are people within the United States of America that want our immigration crisis addressed and want the situation resolved.
Stephen A. points out that on hot-button issue Trump is winning, and there's a reason he took the popular vote, the Electoral College, and every swing state. Stephen A. had a moment of clarity, seeing Newsom tour California like it's Disneyland, when in reality it's more like a pricey haunted house, bad plumbing, high taxes, and a suspicious smell wafting from the sidewalk.
About a 15-hour flight to Los Angeles, and you're telling me you couldn't answer a reporter's question? No comment, we'll talk later, or let me huddle with my staff and we'll get back to you. You couldn't even think to say that? Nobody on your staff prepared you for what has been transpiring in California? Nobody gave you a warning, a heads up? You didn't?
California, a freedom state. But the reality is, far from it, Walgreens looks like a Cold War bunker. Tents line the streets, gas costs $8 a gallon, and traffic is endless. Stephen A. didn't just disagree, he erupted in a Yellowstone-level explosion, turning critique into performance. From the French Laundry scandal, sipping wine with lobbyists while residents were locked down to Zoom kindergarten graduations, Stephen A. tore into news hypocrisy like only he can.
Up on that offer, or Gavin Newsom up on his offer, and arrest the governor of California at that particular moment in time. Is that just, I mean, normally when we've seen you, you said you wouldn't hesitate to arrest an elected official. He was daring you to do it. How come that didn't happen?
Well, first of all, I'm not a prosecutor. That's up to the Department of Justice, that they need to open a criminal case and prosecute. But that was really taken out of context because I did an interview in that.
This, my friends, is the great Californian double standard. And it's why Stephen A. came in hotter than a Lakers fan after a fourth-quarter collapse. Newsom struts with presidential charisma, but can't stop shampoo theft at CVS or homelessness from exploding. California has 30% of the nation's homeless population. Meanwhile, he mocks red states like Florida and Texas, while residents pack Teslas and flee, choosing humidity and mosquitoes over $5,000 rent and constant blackouts. Stephen A. tore into the facade. A hairline and rehearsed speeches aren't leadership.
I think the brother looks the part. He looks presidential in them damn blue suits, no doubt about it. He's sharp as a tack. He's smart as hell. But on far too many occasions, when he was spewing out facts, it was rife with emotion. Instead of addressing the facts that the right was throwing in his direction to debunk anything that he had to say. But we forgot to mention that to Bill Maher on Real Time. This is the kind of problem.
Newsom is chasing national popularity while California burns fires, blackouts, crime, fentanyl, and fleeing businesses. Yet he's off debating Ron DeSantis on TV, slick and rehearsed, while residents wonder when he'll actually do his job. Stephen A. demanded accountability, not as a Fox News act, but because the state's struggles aren't illusions. Plywood covers storefronts. Moms fear downtown, and people need security just to shop while millionaires play resistance leaders.
The right, when you talked about conservatives, when you talked about conservative folks out there and what their principles were and how they may not have been for transgender athletes competing in sports, how they may not have been for, for open borders, how they may not have been for sanctuary cities. Didn't you question their humanity in a roundabout way at the very least? Weren't you one of the voice boxes out there saying that stuff? Now,
A. voiced the frustration of every Californian staring at their tax bill and the pothole in front of their house, asking, "What am I even paying for?" He tore into Newsom for preaching equity while tents sit next to luxury condos, championing climate action with a failing power grid, and claiming to be the party's future while California collapses under overregulation and unaffordability. Brutal, blistering, and necessary. Stephen A. exposed the contradictions, banning plastic straws but handing out needles, preaching inclusion while driving out the middle class, and promising affordability while only tech execs and minor celebrities can.
Time when it comes to addressing crime in the streets.
Okay, good.
The subway system in New York City, you're damn right I got a problem with that. Something needs to be. I'm a native of New York City.
Yeah.
I took the F and the E train all the time. I wouldn't want my family traveling on the subway right now.
Same with me, not
what
anymore.
I'm saying.
Do you take the subway anymore? I feel like you don't.
Well, I don't.
You don't.
I don't. But that's only because when you get popular and stuff like that, you try to avoid crowds.
You're too popular to take the subway.
I was in L.A. The homelessness that exists there, I got an issue with that. Certainly, when you look at Gavin Newsom and some of the policies that he's put forth, you're talking about a lot of different things.
The schools California has some of the highest taxes in the country. Yet schools debate whether kids should learn math or just vibe to graduation. Stephen A. compared it to paying for courtside seats only to watch a JV team with no coach. While critics dismiss it as political theater, Stephen A. gave voice to millions seeing chaos, boarded up businesses, underfunded police, and neighborhoods overrun, with Silicon Valley wealth next to Flint-level decay. Stephen A. reminded us why his voice matters. He cuts through the BS, sounding the cultural alarm when
in tears. I retweeted it, so if you have it, great. It's easier. There
Did
you
he
go.
actually cry, Pat?
Oh, you should see this here. If this is the clip with Anderson Cooper, Rob.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and play this clip.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives.
Why though?
Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden.
Stephen A. didn't need policy expertise, just eyes, ears, and the passion to speak the truth, flailing arms and all. Gavin Newsom might survive the news cycle, but Stephen A.'s message landed. Once he has you in his sights, you don't walk away unscathed. He became the voice of every frustrated Californian stuck in traffic, dodging needles, or crushed by taxes. Not a senator, not a pundit, just a sports guy with a megaphone, saying what half the media is too polite or paid to admit.
And implored fellow Democrats to take accountability for their losses and called the party's current brand, quote, toxic, end quote. Newsom appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher and said the following, quote, Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. We need to own our mistakes. We need to own what's wrong with our party. Part of the problem with the Democratic brand is that we talk down to people. We talk past people, end quote. Newsom recently launched a new podcast called, quote, This is Gavin.
We're tired of the BS. America cheered behind the theatrics was cold, hard, truth. The internet exploded. Memes, viral tweets, and photoshopped UFC-style posters pitting Newsom against Smith. The left panicked. The right grabbed popcorn. And independents couldn't stop refreshing Twitter. It went viral, not for drama, but because it was real. Political speeches now feel like poorly lit TikToks, promises vanish, and people are left paying bills, dodging crime, and hoping their kids make it home safely. Stephen A. didn't just yell. He said what Californians were thinking.
About these elected officials in California.
In California, you pay a lot of taxes.
Hell yes. And by the way, they're the ones that put Gavin Newsom and people like Karen Bass in office. So now you realize you have Democrats who helped put them in office, clamoring for Donald Trump to be back in office. You realize.
And the final dagger, at least when Stephen A. yells. It's entertaining. When Newsom does it, it's usually followed by an unread press release. Game, set, match. The voice of reason came from ESPN, making more sense than anything out of Sacramento. True to form, Stephen A. turned Newsom's parade into a relentless, donor-free, truth-packed roast. Maybe that's what we need, not another politician in a Patagonia vest, but someone to yell with dramatic flair that the emperor has no clothes and probably no clue.
Conservative guests like Charlie Kirk and the aforementioned Steve Bannon. Newsom also found common ground with the right on the issue of transgender athletes competing in women's sports. He called these athletes' participation, quote, deeply unfair, end quote. Bravo. Bravo. I mean, bravo. I'm so very touched, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, that you would say that. Why didn't you add that you were the one doing it? Because that's exactly what the hell you were doing.
While Gavin Newsom polishes his image and plans his next debate tour, California still faces blackouts, break-ins, and broken promises. Thanks to Stephen A. Smith, the volume on that reality just got cranked way up. Next time Newsom hits the national stage with rehearsed smirk and jazz hands, remember A. already cooked him, and the leftovers are still sizzling.